Fantastic. All right, we're going to get cracking because we got a lot to discuss, and we're going to start with a question from Adam Dorsey. He says, howdy guys, what a match. I don't think I've been less disappointed with a 4-3 loss, considering what the score could have been. I wanted to ask about Benzema. I've run out of superlatives for him this season. He's been majestic, to say the least. I'm curious how y'all rate this season compared to some of Ronaldo's best seasons, specifically the 11-12, 13-14, and 16-17 seasons. Apart from his consistent goal scoring, Benzema has been clutch several times this season in big games. Couple that with being the catalyst for most of our good offensive sequences, I think he may come very close, if not equaling, the form and importance of Ronaldo that he had to Real Madrid during his best seasons. Just wanted to hear your thoughts on the matter. Thank you, and Hala Madrid.
Interesting question. I think that definitely his performances this season deserve to be in the discussion or in the same sentence than Cristiano Ronaldo's. And I think that Adam has point here that I think Benzema right now is more. Real Madrid need Benzema more now than they needed Cristiano Ronaldo back then, as great and as legendary as Cristiano Ronaldo was back then, back in the time. I think that we've seen many times this season that Real Madrid has struggled whenever Benzema hasn't been on the pitch, and I think that Real Madrid could have found a better way to replace Ronaldo back in the day, given that talent overall in the squad back then was probably higher than it is right now. So I think that Benzema is carrying a worse team than Ronaldo did, and I think that's the main reason why the season he's putting in deserves to be in the discussion and mentioned alongside the great seasons that Cristiano Ronaldo completed for Real Madrid. I think that he's done enough to be considered. Obviously, Ronaldo wins the argument in terms of doing this for several seasons, and while Benzema has been great in the past, he hasn't been as great as this season, and we're only talking about one season versus 3 or potentially even 4 from Cristiano Ronaldo. But I think that this season deserves to be in the conversation or in the discussion as a great Cristiano Ronaldo seasons.
Would you say this is Benzema's best season ever?
I think so, yeah. I think there is no discussion in terms of goals produced, in terms of productivity, also other than scoring, in terms of leadership offensively. He was great last season and even the season before that one. But I think what he's doing in the Champions League has taken both Real Madrid and his legacy to the next level, I believe.
Yeah, well, there's no question to me, like, out of the last 3 seasons, this particular one is the best one. I think the only one that comes close to it for me is 15-16, where he scored 24 goals in the league. But this one he's already surpassed that. But I think per 90, it was slightly better that season. But this one is just better for the pure fact that there's just so many big goals, big game goals, and clutch goals. I mean, he's never put the team on his back the way he did in previous years.
Yeah.
But I think it's true. I think you bring up a valid point that Benzema right now, what he's doing, he's taking an inferior Real Madrid team than the one that Cristiano Ronaldo had. I think that's true. But I'm still having trouble putting him on Ronaldo's level for the sheer reason that but it's not a knock on Benzema, because I don't think anyone comes close to Ronaldo.
Oh, yeah.
If I'm being really honest, like, I don't know. I'm looking at. I would say this season, from a pure production standpoint, okay, ignoring some of the clutch stuff, which I think you have to factor in, which doesn't show up in the statistics. From a pure production standpoint, this season that Benzema's having now would be the 5th best Ronaldo season ever, from a goals and assists per 90 standpoint, which is basically how we measure attackers. So that factors in not just the goal scoring, but also the playmaking ability. But again, that's not an insult to Benzema, because I don't think anyone comes close to Ronaldo apart from Messi in the history of football. So I'm having trouble seeing it that way. But
just to be clear, Kian, I'm not saying that Benzema deserves to be like compared to Cristiano Ronaldo in terms of legacy or even in terms of quality or whatever. I'm just talking about their seasons, isolated seasons. This particular season, 2020, 2021, 2022 from Benzema, and the other great seasons from Cristiano Ronaldo. I'm not talking about their overall legacy or careers in love or whatever. I'm just talking about this particular season and the fact that, as I said, he's carrying an inferior Real Madrid team puts this season at least in the discussion or in the debate with Cristiano Ronaldo's better seasons. But obviously, in terms of consistency and doing this multiple times in his career, obviously puts Cristiano Ronaldo ahead of him in terms of Real Madrid legacy and overall football legacy, obviously.
Yeah, for sure. And just to be clear on my end as well, as I said, I was just looking at numbers and not the clutch factor. I don't like what he's doing this season in terms of just pure clutch factor is. When was the last time we've seen anything like this in terms of a carry job?
Stuff.
Yeah.
Well, I think Ramos in the 2013-14 Champions League is something that might actually come close.
Yeah.
With those headers against Bayern, and obviously the big header in the final against Atletico. That's pretty much the only thing that comes close, because Cristiano Ronaldo obviously got some big numbers in that season as well, even breaking the record for most goals scored in a Champions League season, in a single Champions League season. But I think the clutch factor that comes close is only the Ramos semifinals and final in 2014. It's the only thing that might actually come close to what we're witnessing from Benzema.
Yeah, he also, he's had big clutch headers in the league as well, and then in the Champions League in other years too. So Ramos is a good shout, but what I'm seeing this season is unbelievable. This is definitely at the very least top 3 for me in terms of what I've seen since I've started watching Real Madrid.
We're talking about theft and robbery if he doesn't win the Ballon d'Or next winter. I think is that clear right now. I don't care if Real Madrid don't win the Champions League title, and Liverpool or Manchester City end up winning it. Obviously De Bruyne and Salah are huge, tremendous players, unbelievable players, amazing talent. But I think that Benzema is carrying an inferior team than what Liverpool and that one Salah and De Bruyne are doing at the moment. So I think we're talking pretty much robbery and theft if he doesn't win it.
I think if Liverpool win the Champions League, I think Salah is going to have a realistic shot. Salah's been unbelievable, man. Like really straight up unbelievable.
His form dropped a little bit after the Copa Africa, don't you think? At least a little. He isn't as great as right now as he was during the first 2/3 of the season, if you will.
I think what's going to ultimately happen, I think that to me it's clear it should be Benzema, although Salah's been amazing, but I also think Benzema will have the PR machine behind him from all the big French legends, from Zidane to Henry, even players like Mbappe I think will come and support him. There's going to be a lot of public support.
Probably also, who is huge in international football, yeah.
And also I think there's a good chance that Benzema will be just in our minds more by again, this we're going to, this doesn't get handed out now, obviously, and there's always a little bit of recency bias with these things, but Benzema is going to be a talking point during the World Cup as well. And
yeah, but didn't the Ballon d'Or criteria change for this particular year with the World Cup? I think the World Cup doesn't even is not even considered for the award this year. I think the award is handed. The votes for the award are handed and sent before the World Cup even begins. And I think that they made a specific point saying that this particular year and from now on, the Ballon d'Or is only going to factor in individual performances and not collective awards, which would obviously benefit Benzema even more against players like Salah or De Bruyne, I think.
Yeah, you're right. I didn't know that. I literally just looking it up as you're explaining that, and I didn't know that. So the criteria has changed.
And that helps Benzema immensely, I think.
So I actually think Benzema's going to have a great World Cup. I would assume so. I don't know how much it would hurt him to have the World Cup as well.
Yeah.
But it says here the next Ballon d'Or will encompass the 2021-2022 season, which ends with the Women's Euros in July and will not include the
exactly.
2022 World Cup. Interesting. So actually, that's great because I've been pushing for that for a long time. I think you and I talked about this as well. Like, it should be by season and not by calendar year because you're mixing things a little bit. That's great. Okay.
And also the point I made, I think, about the individual performances and not the collective thing, and we're not probably going to see any more voters backing Jorginho because his teams rather succeeded the most during the season. I think that only individual performances and individual numbers and obviously performances overall are going to be a factor in this from now on, I think, in the Ballon d'Or. So that puts Benzema clearly ahead of Salah and De Bruyne if Real Madrid don't win the Champions League anyway. Which is fair also, by the way, I think. Well, like, it's not Benzema's fault that he's not surrounded by as many stars as neither Salah or De Bruyne. And again, this is no knock on De Bruyne or Salah, who I think are amazing players, but it's clear to me that Benzema would be a starter in both Liverpool and Manchester City, and I think that, to be honest with you, I think he's just a better player than both Salah and De Bruyne, or at least he's performed better than them this season. Particularly, I think De Bruyne would only have a case in previous Ballon d'Ors because of team success. If Manchester City win the Premier League and the Champions League, I have not been as impressed by his season this year than I was in the past. Maybe I think Salah maybe deserves to be mentioned, but I think De Bruyne would only have a case in previous Ballon d'Or years with the previous criteria of team success. If we're only counting individual performances, I think it's a matter of Benzema, Lewandowski, and Salah.
On the flip side, by the way, if Real Madrid win the Champions League, that guy,
debate, I think.
I wouldn't even wait. I would just give it right there. I would have it ready in the stadium.
Yeah, absolutely.
And the Ballon d'Or he should lift it along with the trophy because if he...
Absolutely. Yeah, inside, put the Ballon d'Or inside the Champions League, yeah.
I say, like, if he wins the Champions League, as if to say it's just him and, like, ignoring the collective effort, which is disrespectful. I don't mean it that way, but literally, I kind of mean it. If he wins the Champions League, because he's just carried us. He really has.
I'll be honest with you. I would do the same if Real Madrid lose the final. Like, if Real Madrid advance and beat Manchester City and then lose the final against Liverpool, knock on wood that doesn't happen. I think that it's also not even a discussion right now. If Real Madrid play the final and Benzema has carried an underdog Real Madrid team against PSG, Chelsea, and Manchester City.
Well, if we get past City, it's almost 100% going to be because Benzema did something in the second leg, right?
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
I mean, I would welcome the scenes.
And even if he doesn't,
yeah,
and even if he doesn't, he did it in the first leg already, yeah. And against Chelsea and against PSG, his clutch factor in this Champions League is just otherworldly. It's just amazing and very hard to parallel and to find comparisons. I think it's just something that we have to be very lucky. We have to feel very lucky about the fact that we got to witness the season he's putting in right now.
Yeah, this will go down. It's in the history books already. It is.
Yep.
Tahmid Kalam says, it was interesting to hear Kian and Lucas talk about Rüdiger's fit in the last podcast.